Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. Now if you know me, you know I love explaining things. So when Konami finally came out with their latest platform for delivering serotonin by way of pack opening, and the pulse-pounding action of hoping this time, just this once, just one time that you'll give me an opening hand that's worth something, I knew it was my calling to provide all of you a clear, concise guide on how to operate Master Duel, as well as the deck I used to reach Platinum 1 in the game's ranked ladder. A kind of Master Duel masterclass, if you will. So whether you're a new player just trying out Master Duel for the first time because of Yu-Gi-Oh's newfound explosive popularity on Twitch, a returning player who's excited to finally play the game in an affordable manner, or a veteran who's wondering what in the world is going on with this game, you're in the right place. So, without further ado, let's get started with part 1, the tutorial. When starting up the game, you'll be prompted to play some duels that will walk you through how the game works. If you're new to Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, this is a great starting point to learn the flow of things, but you'll probably want to pick up the rulebook for a bit more fleshed out information. If you know the game fairly well, then take this time to get used to how the game functions, how long it takes for the game to respond to your actions, where button placements will be to help avoid misclicks, and familiarizing yourself with the auto chain button. This will be very important. When you're done, you'll be prompted to pick a starter deck that you can play with. Now don't worry, these aren't like Pokemon, you will be able to earn any cards in these decks later on, but I was partial to Link Generation myself because it's got a free Link Spider and that's just generally helpful. Part 2, the landing page. So here's where you're going to show up every time you log in. There's a variety of options, so let's go through them one by one. At the top left, you're going to see your personal profile. Click on it, and you'll see an expanded version that's got your player ID, which you can share so others can follow you, add some titles to show your personality, your level, which increases as you duel, profile picture, ID topper, your ranked placement, and most importantly, your duel mate, all of which you can edit from here. If you have Sangan, equip them immediately. If you do not have Sangan, obtain them immediately. This is imperative. I will not explain why. This is also where you'll find any replays you've saved to show off later. Remember to click the button to save after the end of a wild duel and not be like me, who forgets you can actually save moments like these. There's also this button, which has just a bunch of data about, well, everything that you've ever done since you started playing. So if you're ever curious about how high you've ever gotten a chain link to go, this is the place to be. The duel page is here for when you're looking to break out your cards and test your skill. The top button takes you to the ranked duel ladder, which goes from rookie, bronze, silver, gold, then platinum, each with their own tiers. There's also a free duel segment where you can set up a room and duel for the fun of it. You know, fun. The thing you're supposed to be having while playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Those are the only functions it has at the moment, but presumably this event duel segment will become available in the future. The deck button is where you find your tools for duels. You can save up to 20 different decks, so you'll be prepared for a variety of situations. Since the deck building process is so in-depth though, we're gonna cover that later on. Solo is for dueling against the AI in a bunch of story scenarios. That's right, this game is brimming with card lore, so enjoy learning the hidden aspects of megaliths. It's also a good place to find gems, but also accessories you can't earn anywhere else, so if you want to spruce your character profile with Demise's sick helmet, this is where you need to go. The shop is where you go to get all kinds of things. Duel fields, mates, sleeves, but most importantly, card packs. And while I'd love to say those packs are incredibly straightforward, it's actually a bit of a labyrinth and is strangely tied into how we build decks. So when we get back to deck crafting, we'll be covering the shop as well. The topics section has a variety of links Konami wants you to be aware of, and this will cycle over time. Most importantly is the spectate function. You get to watch a replay, and you get a couple of gems once per day for your troubles. Neat. Right under that is the Duel Pass, a way to incentivize you to play on the ranked ladder, as well as event duels when those happen. As you play those modes, your grade goes up, which is different from your level, it's weird, and the best part is that you get points in grade even if you lose. So it's always worth your time to give it a go, because even if you don't quite make it, there's something waiting for you at the end. Up at the top right, you'll see how many gems you have, which is the currency you use to buy just about everything in the shop. Notifications are system updates from Konami, issues with the game, stuff like that. The gift box section is where items you can't currently hold go. It seems like an odd concept, but there is a cap on how many free gems you can have at a time, which is 10,000. Currently, any that you earn over that amount gets sent to the gift box, which you can pick up later after you've burned a bit of a hole in your pocket. The friend list here shows a list of players you follow, as well as who follow you. You can see this icon if you're following them, this one if they're following you, and if they're both lit up, it means you're following each other. There's not like a friend request system, and the fact your followers are under the friend category is a little parasocially awkward, but hey, we make do. There's also a block list, which is very nice. If you ever want to add someone to your follow list, click this little button up top and type in their 9-digit player ID. Your favorite content creators are sharing up a storm with them on Twitter, so if you want to keep tabs on their progress, check around. By the way, here's mine. You can do whatever you want with it. I'm not your dad, but it's there if you want it. I'm just saying. And you can also search people by the titles they put in their ID, which is certainly a choice. The sub-menu is where the options live, so if you need to adjust the volume, the resolution, card text size is very important, this is where you do it. This is also where you can find the forbidden and limited list, basically a list of cards that can't be played, as well as how much of certain cards you can play. Make sure to review this list, even if you've played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! The format does not take after either the OCG or TCG, it's its own beast, so make sure to take a look at it. You can also find customer support contacts, a way to transfer your data to another console so you never have to be too far away from your digital collection, and some legal mumbo-jumbo. Part 3. The Duel Display. Here we are, everyone, the dueling field. All the zones are about where you'd expect, and while I won't go too in-depth with it, this isn't a how to play Yu-Gi-Oh video after all, something that tripped me up was that this is the grave and this is the banished zone. Looks a little different than I remember it. This little button shows what phase and turn you're on, and you click it to proceed through your phases. Over here is where you'll find the timer if you're playing in a game that uses it, which includes ranked play, so be mindful of it. Over here is your duel mate. Go ahead, give them a click. They might do something fun. Same with the duel field itself. Up at the top left, you've got a gear icon that's basically the settings menu. You've got all the sound and visual settings you had from the landing page, but also the surrender button if you just need to get out of that game. This whole space over here is usually reserved for messing around with the environment, but if you click any card, this space fills up with their picture and card text. If you click on a stack of cards like the extra deck, grave, or banished zone, a small list of them appears on the right side. Click one, and their information will populate the left side. These little buttons tucked into the bottom right corner are also very important. The leftmost one sets how often you want to be asked to activate your cards when appropriate. Auto is a kind of mild version, asking you when you want to activate your cards at the most general of times. It toggles to off, which won't ask you at all, and on, which will ask you at every conceivable moment. You'll have to decide which one works best for you, but word to the wise, different settings are best in different situations. For instance, if you're low on time, I'd recommend turning chain off if you can help it, as time spent asking if you want to chain during your opponent's turn does drain time off your clock. Even if you decline quickly, it still takes at least a second. You can click this little I button down here and you'll get a quick overview of a lot of info across the board. Number of cards in any particular deck, grave or banished zone, type and attribute symbols, even link arrows. One of the most important ones though is this clipboard icon all the way on the right. This is the log of every action taken during the duel. If you ever need a reminder of something that was added to your opponent's hand, including all its info, you can find it here. So if things are getting a bit out of hand, try to see if the logs will help. Part 4. Crafting. Alright, now it's time to make the deck of your dreams. When clicking decks, you'll likely see a lot of decks already from playing the tutorial and solo mode. If you want to make a new one, you can just click the plus button right here. When clicking on a deck already made, you'll be given this menu. From here, you can proceed to edit your deck, but you can also use change accessories to update the deck box, card sleeves, field mat, grave and banished zone, mate base, and the 3 cards that show up when hovering over your deck, showing off a bit of your deck's flair. The View, Copy, Delete button does everything it says on the tin, but it also has an option to draw a sample opening hand to get an idea for how you'll be starting your duels with the current build. Alright, here's the deck edit screen where the magic happens. Up at the top left, you'll see the amount of craft points you have, split between the game's 4 rarities: common, rare, super rare, and ultra rare. These are how you get the singles you really want, and we'll get into more detail on how you use them in a bit. The whole left side is where you can find information about a card you've selected, but if any of it's too small, you can click on the card itself to open a window that covers the entire screen. You can use these buttons down here to add or remove the selected card to and from your deck if you don't want to manually drag them in or out. Fun fact, you can actually add cards to your deck you don't have copies of yet as a way to visualize how far along you are in the deck building process and what cards you need to hunt down to complete it, especially if you're someone who needs to see it to really get a handle on it. You've also got this bookmark button, so if you plan on coming back to a card like this in the future, you'll have an easier time pulling it up. This button shows you what packs you can get this card from, more on that in a moment. This button shows you related cards, so if you run into a card you've never seen before and want to learn more, this is a great place to start. Underneath that are the dismantle and generate buttons. Simply put, when dismantling a card, you lose it forever, and in return, it gives you a certain amount of craft points for the rarity of the card you dismantled. And right next to that is the generate button, which spends craft points to make a single copy of the selected card. So if you want something but don't want to rifle through packs to get it randomly, this is how you do it. Note that if your card has a special finish on it, the kind of foiling it has, which is different from its rarity in Master Duel, you get more craft points out of it if you dismantle it. In the center is the deck you've currently built, showing you how many cards are in your main and extra deck. You may notice that there's no option to make a side deck, and that's because, at time of recording, Master Duel only supports single duel matches, so you won't have a chance to counterpick cards against certain decks, so you just have to build the best deck that's capable of winning game 1. On the right side is the card viewer, which lets you look up every card in the game and what you have in your current pool. Normally it starts out in the card list tab, and by typing in any name in the search bar, you can find any card that includes the search term in its name. However, if you only want to see cards that you currently own, check out this button over here. If you see 2 cards in it, it shows you every applicable card in the game, but click it and it'll become 1 card which will only show you what you own. But there are a lot of cards in Master Duel. What if you're just looking for particular card parameters and not the name? Well, this handy little button with all the sliders on it is here to help. Here, you can filter cards by type, attribute, what kind of extra deck monster it is, rarity, where they're at on the Forbidden and Limited list, even if it has a summon animation. And if you want to get rid of those filters, you can just click the little trash can. And to help order these cards, the next button can sort those cards by attack, defense, even from the time in which you got them. And if you want to turn all those filters off, there's another trash can button right here. Once you've pulled up the cards you want, you can manually drag and drop them in and out of your deck. Or you can right-click them, like apparently civilized people do. You can also change the tabs. The star one contains all your bookmark cards, and the third tab is a history of cards you've interacted with. So you can pull up any card that recently caught your interest, but you forgot to hit the bookmark button. Up at the top right, we have a little button that shows what kind of info is displayed on the card. It's set to rarity display by default, so you can see their, well, rarities, but it can be cycled to simplified, which only shows its status on the Forbidden and Limited list, and detailed, which has symbols for the monster's level, type, and attribute. The save button saves the deck, excellent, and the options button after that has some nice tools. Dismantle extra cards takes any cards that you have more than 3 copies of, and dismantles all of them until you only have 3. So you'll always have enough for a full playset. This is a great way to dismantle cards in bulk, so you aren't having to wade through your entire collection to help craft new cards. Dismantle selected cards lets you throw a bunch of cards into a batch and dismantle them all at once. So if there are cards under the 3 card limit that you never plan on playing, this is a great way to go through them. And the sample 5 card hand option is here as well. Part 5, the card packs. So now you have an idea for a deck you want to build, put it together the best you can, but found you're still missing a lot of cards. Well, it's time to go hunting in the card packs. When opening up the shop, you'll have a number of tabs, and a lot of the products are straightforward. One has structure decks with preset cards, accessories has fun things to trick out your setup, and special will have, well, anything special they want to offer. But it's the packs section that's going to be where you spend most of your time. This section is split into 3 parts: normal, special, and bonus. Bonus packs are earned as rewards from solo and ranked duels and can be opened here, but since you earn those passively, it's pretty cut and dry. The only difference is that these bonus packs have 2 cards instead of 8, have their own unique pool of cards, and have an absolutely abysmal pull rate for higher rarity cards. Also, you can't dismantle them for craft points, which is sucky. If you're new to Master Duel, you'll find that secret pack is either empty or very sparse, so you'll have to start your journey with normal pack. Currently, there are 3 choices you can make at time of recording: Stalwart Force and Revival of Legends, both of which are available for a limited time, presumably to be replaced by another pack, but that's not confirmed. Both are 80 card sets with some real whoppers. If you know you want to play anything anime, I'd go with Revival of Legends, but if you want something more orthodox meta-relevant, Stalwart Force is the way to go. The last pack is the persistent Master Pack, which has an enormous pool of cards, currently at 6,750. It is, I think, fair to say that if you're looking for a specific card, you'll have a hard time finding it here. If you want to explore the many cards the game has to offer, this can scratch that itch, but if you're already focused on a particular archetype, we'll need to zero in on the secret packs, and this is where things get a little weird. Here's how it works. You'll get this little key icon when opening SR and UR rarity cards that shows that you've unlocked a secret pack if it does belong to the pool of a secret pack. For instance, opening Scapegoat gives you access to Mischievous Spirits, which is a secret pack that has a focus on ghost tricks. Funny thing though, secret packs are only available for purchase for 24 hours after you discover them, so if you want to build a deck, you need to start with a plan and know what you're looking for. Looking at the menu, you'll see the featured list of cards in it, just like with Stalwart Force and Revival of Legends, but it's not quite that simple. See, the packs have 8 cards in them, but even if you pull from a secret pack, the first 4 cards will be from the Master Pack pool, while cards 5 through 8 are from that curated list of cards. So you'll always have a chance of pulling random cards, with only the back half getting you even remotely closer to what you want, because some secret packs focus on more than one archetype, so you might not even get what you want. Now, you might be wondering, how do I even get the secret pack I need in the first place? Am I supposed to pull randomly from normal sets until the RNG engine deigns to give me the Aramage Jasmine I need to start opening Blooming in Adversity? And thankfully, the answer is no, as you already have all the tools you need to manipulate which secret pack you want access to when you want it. The deck building screen. See? Told you we'd be back here. Let's say you want to make Harpy Ladies, so you go ahead and look up Harpies in the card viewer. Remember when I said you would get secret packs associated with the SR and UR cards you pulled? Well, the same goes for cards you craft. Generate an SR or UR and you'll gain access to its associated secret pack, if it has one. Some powerful staples can only be found in Master Pack or by crafting them. To check, simply select one of the SR or UR cards and click the How to Obtain button. Here you go, a secret pack. Use your points to craft the card, and you'll get a little notification right here letting you know you've unlocked it and will link you to it. You might also get a free pack, so that's exciting. From there, you can pull packs until you've pulled what you're looking for, and any cards you pull from the Master Pack half of your secret packs that you don't want can be dismantled to help you make the cards you really need. A good rule of thumb is to try and open packs until you only have a few left you need. Then see if you have enough craft points of the rarity on hand that you're comfortable parting with to round things out. By using this system, you can play through solo mode and get a few ranked matches under your belt, and end up with enough gems to get you 1 or 2 great decks without ever spending a penny. In fact, here are some great tips to help you build your collection quickly and cheaply. As mentioned previously, get the Gold Duel Pass, as it gives you precious craft points as rewards, and we've already seen how valuable those can be. The special section of the shop has 3 bundles, each one featuring 10 master packs, and a single powerful card. One is Solemn Judgment, the other Lightning Storm, the last is Ash Blossom. Get all of these. This will save you on craft points making them later, and with 30 master packs, you may even unlock the secret pack you want to work towards, or find lots of high rarity cards you don't care for so you can turn them into craft points. Speaking of which, there are a number of powerful staples that can only be found in master packs, and as we stated, finding the exact one you want will be next to impossible. So where you can help it, save your craft points for those cards specifically, especially since making playsets of them will cost you 90 points, which is a lot, especially in the UR range. Now, if you want a deck to help you climb up the ranked ladder, may I provide you with my deck, Prank Kids, the deck that took me to Platinum 1. Now, I don't recommend this for newer players. For that, you should take the starter decks that you learned from solo mode and try to build those up and get familiar with them. But if you want to step your game up, this is a great place to start. Also, I'm not going to go into each individual card. If you want more information on them, make sure to check out my Prank Kids Explained episode, which you can find in the card above. Starting out, we have 3 copies each of Fansies, Dropsies, Lampsies, and Roxies. We want to run the maximum amount of these, not just because we're going to run through them very quickly with their floating effects, but also any one of them is a starter when paired with Prank Kids Meow Meow out of the extra deck. We're running 3 Ash Blossom because it's a generally good hand trap against most decks, and since we can't side, this just kind of fits the most scenarios. Now we have 3 Thunder Dragon, and this is probably the one that's going to tilt the most heads. But here's the reason why. When activating Thunder Dragon in your hand, you have set up the conditions to summon Thunder Dragon Colossus. But you only need to tribute a Thunder monster on board for it, not a Thunder Dragon specifically, which Fansies is. Pull this off early, going first, and you can lock your opponent out of searching, so now the only thing they can rely on are their top decks until they remove Colossus, and because of its innate protection, standard removal is not going to work. And bonus, the extra cards we add to our hand with Thunder Dragon can be used to fuel Roxy's draw and Twin Twister's discard. Next, we have Protoss, another wonderful card that slots in surprisingly well with this deck. We have so many attributes, but summoning them does drain our grave of all the cards we'd want to bring back using our 2 material extra deck monsters effects. The trade-off, though, is that locking out Darks going first is incredibly powerful, and if you're going second, you can hit one of their monsters as removal and lock them out of that attribute, meaning that at the very least they can't summon more of that monster, and at the best, hitting a mono attribute deck. Salamangreat are on this ladder, and this is almost an auto-win. Next is 2 copies of Polymerization. We want as many fusion effects as possible. We don't want to solely be relying on Pandemonium. Also, Polymerization does not lock you into only playing Prank Kids after using it. So if you want to leverage your other Link monsters, this is a great way to use it. Monster Reborn is here. None of our extra deck monsters have a restriction that keep us from summoning them back out of the grave, which is a great way to get back into a game if our resources get low. Instant Fusion is here as a way to leverage Rocket Ride, normally to get more Prank Kids back out of your grave to extend your plays, but sometimes you just need that extra Link material if you have been shut out of your effects, and Instant Fusion can still do that. Thunder Dragon Fusion is absolutely wild. Did you know that Battle Butler is a Thunder monster? That means that with no presence, you can play this card and make it, but also if you banish all of the materials for them, Dropsies, Fansies, and Lampsies, with Protoss for their summon, you can shuffle them all right back into your deck with Thunder Dragon Fusion. And then the following turn, you banish Fusion, and you search Fansies, which guarantees you to be back on track for your Prank Kids plays. It's so good. Speaking of searching cards, we have the 3 copies of Prank Kids Place, fixes your hand, and chain blocks your Fusion and Link summons to make sure that you can dissuade any Ash Blossoms from stopping your plays. We have double Prank Kids Pranks. Honestly, you might be able to cut this down to 1 and be just fine, but having this on the board allows you to win in long games by recycling your resources and topping you out on card advantage. And sometimes you'll just need to get an extra token on board so you can make your bigger Link monsters. We have 2 Twin Twisters. Basically, back row sucks. This means you don't have to deal with them. Double Called by the Grave. I am so happy that this card is in the format at 2. Ash Blossoms are the deck's worst enemy. Normal summoning 1 Prank Kid into a Meow Meow and then hitting it with Ash stops your entire play if you don't have an extender to recover from that. Called by the Graves helps with that, and any other situation that involves grave cards. It's incredible. 3 copies of Prank Kids Pandemonium are on theme Fusion spell. It allows us to do it at quick effect speed, so we can summon things like Battle Butler and Weather Washer on our opponent's turn, which means that we can activate the Prank Kids effects on our opponent's turn, so we can float even more, get the life gain, get the burn, get the draws, all kinds of stuff. Next we have triple skill drain. This is probably the funniest inclusion. Did you know that almost all Prank Kid effects don't activate in a way that interacts with skill drain? All the main deck ones get triggered when they're sent to the grave when being used as Fusion and Link material for our monsters, and while this does stop effects like Bow Wow Bark's attack boost and Dodo Doodle Doo's searching effect, their effects that tribute themselves to add cards from their grave to the hand does not work. Alternatively, if you're worried about not getting the search off of Dodo-Doodle-Doo, you can use Fansies to send whatever card you were going to get with them anyway to the grave, and when you tribute Dodo-Doodle-Doo, that's a valid target to put back in your hand. And our last card is Prank Kid's Plan. This is an auto send to the grave going first when you use Fansies effect. It's kind of a landmine for your opponent. Not a lot of people are going to know what Prank Kid's Plan does, and because the animations for cards going from zone to zone are so fast, they might not take the time to go in there and read it, and then after that, finding out that section of the card that says that. When they attack into one of your Prank Kids, you can shuffle back Prank Kids cards into your deck and extra deck, and the attacking monster loses attack equal to 100 times the cards that you sent back to the decks. So this can quite literally change the tide of battle when your opponent attacks into you thinking that they have a safe attack. Also, it allows you to link summon at quick effect speed during the main phase, which sometimes comes up. Our extra deck consists of a Rocket Ride. Like I said, it's usually here to summon 2 Prank Kids out of our graveyard, but with the boost coming from Bow Wow Bark, the field spell, and the burn damage we can do with Lampsies, sometimes if you hard summon Rocket Ride so it can attack, its ability to attack directly can just end games you otherwise wouldn't be able to get out of. Double Weather Washer is really cool. It turns all of your Prank Kids into Armades while it's on the board, so your opponent can't Mirror Force you, and they get no floating effects when you destroy their monsters by battle. It's absolutely cool. It becomes a great 2500 if you have the field spell to boost it, and then during your opponent's turn, it can split into any 2 non-fusion Prank Kids in your grave, and it makes it so that they can't be destroyed by battle that turn, so you can effectively halt any big push for a game that doesn't have piercing or destruction. Next, we have the Colossus, like we talked about earlier. Sometimes it's just an auto win when going first. The Double Battle Butler, I believe that the 2 is unorthodox. You might be able to cut 1 to save on UR costs and change around, give yourself a bit more diversity in the extra deck. But it's very powerful regardless. It's a Raigeki at quick effect speed with 3000 attack and defense. It absolutely hoses so many decks if you can get it off at the right time. Especially if you can keep it on the board by banishing a Meow Meow out of your grave. Speaking of which, we run 2 of them. Only relevant text is the fact that you can banish it instead of attributing a Prank Kid monster for its effect during your opponent's turn specifically. I forgot that a lot. You do not get the free activation if it's during your turn. Double Dodo-Doodle-Doo, this will search out any of the Prank Kid spells and traps that you do not currently have access to. Normally you will have either Plan or Pandemonium, so Dodo-Doodle-Doo will get you to the other one, but worst case scenario, you don't open Pandemonium, this gets you to Pandemonium. The Bow Wow Bark is here at only 1 because we're only activating it during our opponent's turn. It basically does the same thing as Dodo-Doodle-Doo, except it gives us the 1000 attack boost instead of the search, and it also grants effect destruction immunity to all of our Prank Kids when you use its retrieval effect. Absolutely nutty. We have a Nightmare Unicorn, just as like a flex slot. It's a link 3 we can go into after Dodo-Doodle-Doo if we just need to get a card off the board. Borrelsword Dragon is here because sometimes Prank Kids have difficulty closing out a game, especially in the early turns. If we have not locked ourselves into only being able to play Prank Kids, we can use our Link 2s to help bridge the gap into Borrelsword Dragon, and that plus Weather Washer is an OTK on an open board. And most of the time, they're going to have less than 800 life points, considering 8,000 because of Lampsies. Next is Rip Roarin' Roaster. This one doesn't come up very often, but its quick effect, Harpy's Feather Duster effect, can be wild against decks that love setting back row. If they allow you to summon this, the game is pretty much over. And lastly is Access Code Talker, because it's big Link monster that's easy to make, gets a lot of attack power, and pops cards. What's not to like? And that's all the information I have for you. Go forth and enjoy Master Duel to the fullest. Also, while you're here, make sure to subscribe, because there's going to be a bit more orthodox Nova content in regards to Master Duel's the lore. That's right, we'll be going over all the information we got out of solo mode, and doing a few tweaks, because some of the translations were a little forced. Today's episode was brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commander, Genesis Yu-Gi-Oh!, Nebula Navigators, Adam Zajadel, Benjamin Meisner, Eric, Gloomba331, Howling Zangetsu, John Manji, Panther J, Shooting Star 3300, Sun Sorrow and the Wizard Moose, and Cosmic Crusaders Bear Sharktopus Studios, Chaz Ghost, Colin Todd, RGS, and the legendary Raven, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. And if you'd like to be a part of the credits as well as help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, please check out my YouTube membership or Patreon links in the description to see if I have anything you'd like on offer. If you'd like to be a part of these credits, as well as help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, as well as getting to see these videos early, please check out my YouTube membership or Patreon links in the description to see if I have anything you'd like on offer. And if you want to see me play Master Duel on stream, you can always check me out on Twitch, and if you want to watch the VODs, you can follow my second channel right here. And if you want to see two Yu-Gi-Tubers going at it, check out Noah Jenkinai's latest series, Progression Polls, where your voice shapes the format. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.